Do you know that some everyday carbs could be quietly putting your heart and brain at risk? If you're like most folks in your 60s, 70s, or even 80s, you probably pay attention to your blood pressure and cholesterol, maybe even count your steps and try your best to make healthy choices. But what if I told you there's a group of carbohydrates hiding in so many foods that can silently increase your chances of stroke and heart attack as you age? Today, we're going to dive into 4 of the most dangerous carbs that often sneak into seniors' diets. Each one has a hidden impact that goes far beyond your waistline. I'll show you not only what these dangerous carbs are, but also why they matter more as we get older and what you can do today to protect yourself and your loved ones from their hidden dangers. Stay tuned until the end, because I'm going to share how making a single change in your diet could help lower your risk of heart disease and stroke, boost your energy, and even give you peace of mind every time you sit down for a meal. You'll see how these small decisions can add years of healthy, joyful living, because every day counts, especially as we grow older. Now, let's get started. Number 1, the hidden dangers of modified food starch. Let's talk about a carb you've probably seen on more food labels than you can count: modified food starch. Now, I know most people don't give this ingredient a second thought. It sounds harmless enough, almost scientific, and you'll find it in everything from canned gravies and salad dressings to so-called healthy frozen dinners. But here's what most folks never realize: modified food starch is not just regular starch. It's been chemically altered to change its texture, shelf life, and how it mixes with water. Also, food companies can create smoother, thicker, longer-lasting products. Sounds convenient, right? But there's a catch. The way this starch is processed can strip away. What you're left with is a substance that's absorbed very quickly into your bloodstream, causing your blood sugar to spike much faster than if you'd eaten a boiled potato or a bowl of brown rice. For seniors, those quick spikes and crashes can be far more dangerous than you think. Over time, they can wear down your blood vessels and force your heart to work harder than it should. It's like sending a rush of water through an old pipe. The pressure is just too much. Let me share a story about my neighbor Harold, who's 78 and still likes to keep busy in his garden. He thought he was eating well, choosing low-fat canned soups and fat-free dressings, thinking he was doing his heart a favor. But those convenience foods were packed with modified food starch. After his doctor noticed his blood sugar creeping up and his cholesterol getting worse, Harold took a closer look at the ingredients. He swapped out those convenience foods for simple homemade options, using olive oil and lemon instead of bottled dressings and making soups from scratch with real potatoes and carrots. Within months, not only did his numbers improve, but he said he had more steady energy, fewer afternoon crashes, and even slept better. Modified food starch also affects your arteries in subtle ways. Medical research has shown that rapid blood sugar fluctuations can stiffen the blood vessel walls, which is one of the first steps toward plaque buildup. Plaque, as you know, is what eventually narrows your arteries and raises your risk of both stroke and heart attack. This process can creep along silently for years before you ever feel a symptom. That's why these invisible carbs are so concerning for those of us past our 50s. You might be surprised to learn that even so-called healthy brands use modified food starch to make products taste creamy or thick without adding fat. But in doing so, they introduce a carb that your body just isn't built to handle in large amounts, especially not if you're aiming to protect your heart and mind for the long haul. So, the next time you find yourself reaching for a packaged meal or that bottle of store-bought gravy, take a look at the label. If you see modified food starch, ask yourself if there's a better, simpler option. Remember, your heart and blood vessels are counting on you to choose foods that support them, not strain them. There's real power in the small decisions you make every day, and it's never too late to take charge of your health, one ingredient at a time. Number 2. The silent impact of modified cornstarch on your heart and brain. Modified cornstarch is one of those ingredients that slips quietly into seniors' diets, often without raising a single eyebrow. You'll find it in cereals, sauces, puddings, canned meals, breaded foods, instant grabbies, and even low-calorie snacks that promise to help you eat better. But for those of us in our 60s, 70s, and 80s, modified cornstarch can be a far greater concern than most people ever realize. It's not the corn itself that poses the problem, but what manufacturers do to it to make it convenient, cheap, and endlessly useful for food production. When corn is processed into modified corn starch, it undergoes treatments that remove natural fiber, strip away nutrients, and change the way the carb behaves in your body. What started as a whole food becomes something that causes your blood sugar to rush upward the moment it hits your digestive system. This kind of swift glucose spike may not feel dramatic in the moment, but, over time, it can place tremendous stress on your arteries. Think of your blood vessels as old garden hoses you've relied on for years. If you suddenly send water through them at high pressure, you know how easily cracks can form where the material has grown thin. Your arteries behave the same way after decades of use. Let me share an example from a gentleman I met years ago named Franklin, who was 82 and took pride in eating what he thought were sensible, heart-conscious foods. He avoided sweets and rarely touched fried foods, yet his doctor kept warning him that his arteries were narrowing faster than expected. When he took a closer look at his diet, he realized he was eating modified corn starch nearly every day, his morning cereal, his favorite canned stew, even the ready-made mashed potatoes he heated in the microwave relied on this ingredient to stay thick and shelf-friendly. After switching those foods out for simpler, whole options, the difference in his energy and blood pressure shocked him. He said he never realized how much those little ingredients were affecting his body until he let them go. As we age, our arteries naturally become less flexible. That stiffness is part of getting older, much like the way our joints remind us we're not 40 anymore. But, when you introduce modified cornstarch into your diet day after day, it accelerates that stiffening process by causing your blood sugar to spike repeatedly. These spikes, even if you're not diabetic, create a cycle of inflammation inside your blood vessels. Inflammation may not sound dramatic, but it's one of the earliest steps toward plaque buildup, the very thing that leads to stroke and heart attack. Many Americans also mistakenly believe that anything labeled corn must be natural, but modified cornstarch behaves more like sugar than corn. Its glycemic effect is strong, and your body responds with insulin surges that chip away at your heart health over time. These surges are especially concerning if you already have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, or a family history of heart disease. Even if you feel fine today, the damage tends to accumulate quietly for years, making it all the more important to recognize where these hidden carbs are showing up on your plate. Another subtle issue with modified cornstarch is how it interacts with other processed ingredients. When combined with artificial flavors, synthetic preservatives, and added sugars, it forms a cocktail of inflammation that keeps your blood vessels under constant strain, a combination that becomes especially dangerous for anyone already dealing with high blood pressure. Each meal becomes an invisible push against your heart, one your body can only withstand for so long. When you remove modified corn starch from your diet, you're not just avoiding spikes in blood sugar. You're lowering inflammation, reducing the stress on your arteries, supporting better cholesterol levels, and giving your heart the kind of rest it deserves after decades of loyal service. Those little shifts, one meal at a time, can change the way you feel, protect your independence, and quite possibly prevent a health scare none of us wants to face. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 3. The rapid blood sugar surge triggered by cornstarch. Cornstarch is one of those ingredients most seniors grew up with in their kitchens. Many of us used it to thicken stews, gravies, and pies long before today's packaged foods filled the shelves. Back then, a spoonful of cornstarch in a homemade soup was just a small addition to an otherwise wholesome meal, but, over the years, cornstarch became more than a pantry thickener. It became a major ingredient in processed foods, crackers, pastries, canned meals, instant puddings, and even supposedly healthy nutrition shakes. When consumed regularly, especially as we age, it behaves very differently in the body than most people expect. Cornstarch is what's known as a rapidly digestible carbohydrate. Your body converts it into glucose almost the moment. For a younger person with strong insulin response and flexible arteries, this may not seem dramatic, but, for those of us in our 60s, 70s, or 80s, that rapid surge of blood sugar can have a much more noticeable impact. Our metabolism slows, insulin sensitivity drops, and arteries become less flexible, so, when cornstarch enters the picture, it's like sending a jolt through a system that has already weathered decades of life. Let me share the story of a friend named Leonard, who is 76 and still loves to cook. He always used a pinch of cornstarch to thicken his chicken stew, but, as time went on, he relied more on packaged foods during busy weeks. He never realized how much cornstarch he was eating until his doctor revealed that his fasting blood sugar was creeping into dangerous territory. When he began reading labels, he found cornstarch everywhere: soups, sauces, even his breakfast waffles. After cutting back, his blood sugar improved, his energy stabilized, and he experienced fewer afternoon crashes. Cornstarch does more than just push your blood sugar up quickly. That rapid spike triggers your pancreas to release a surge of insulin. Over time, repeated spikes contribute to inflammation inside your blood vessels. Inflammation weakens artery walls and makes them more vulnerable to plaque buildup, the very thing that narrows arteries and restricts blood flow to the heart and brain. When plaque forms in the arteries leading to the brain, stroke risk rises. When it forms in the arteries supplying the heart, the risk of heart attack climbs. Cornstarch may look harmless, a simple white powder, but, inside an aging body, it behaves in ways that deserve real attention. Another thing to understand is that cornstarch is often used to mimic the creamy, smooth texture that fat normally provides. Many fat-free foods are actually high in starch. Seniors sometimes assume fat-free means heart-healthy, but real fats from foods like hormone balance and satiety in ways cornstarch simply cannot. When seniors cut back on cornstarch, many notice improvements within weeks. They feel steadier after meals, experience fewer energy dips, and regain better appetite control. Doctors sometimes observe improvements in blood pressure and cholesterol, as well. These changes happen because replacing cornstarch with whole, unprocessed foods allows the body to function the way it was designed to: steady blood sugar, healthier arteries, and a more consistent supply of energy to the brain. Taking control of your health at any age is always worthwhile, especially when you want to remain active, independent, and mentally sharp. Reducing cornstarch isn't about giving up comfort, it's about choosing comfort that strengthens you rather than weakens you. By being mindful of how often cornstarch appears in your meals, you protect your heart, support your independence, and keep your body resilient for the years still ahead. Number 4, maltodextrin, the invisible sweetener that threatens your blood vessels. Maltodextrin is one of those ingredients that slips right under the radar for most seniors, even the ones who check food labels out of habit. It sounds technical, maybe a little exotic, but it's everywhere: diet shakes, powdered supplements, protein bars, packaged snacks, instant oatmeal, salad dressings, sauces, and even so-called sugar-free foods. What's truly surprising is how often maltodextrin is used in products marketed to older adults as healthy or good for blood sugar, but the truth about maltodextrin is far more troubling, especially for heart and brain health as we age. Let's start with what maltodextrin actually is. It's a white powder made from corn, rice, potato, or wheat, processed into an ultra-fine, flavorless carbohydrate that dissolves quickly and blends smoothly. Harmless as it may seem, the real concern begins once it enters your body. Its glycemic index is even higher than table sugar. For older adults, this is dangerous. A sudden surge in blood sugar forces the body to release a rush of insulin to bring levels back down. These swings put tremendous stress on aging arteries. Each spike acts like a shock wave to your blood vessels, making them less flexible, more inflamed, and more prone to plaque buildup. Even if you don't have diabetes, repeated swings raise your risk of both heart attack and stroke. And because maltodextrin hides in foods you'd never suspect, often in products labeled sugar-free or diabetic-friendly. Many seniors consume it constantly without realizing the harm. Let me share a story about a woman in her early 70s named Eleanor. She avoided candy and tried to make good choices, often relying on powdered shakes and meal replacements for convenience. She chose brands labeled as low sugar and heart healthy, believing she was doing everything right, but her blood sugar and cholesterol kept rising. When her doctor reviewed her pantry, nearly every healthy powder, drink, and bar listed maltodextrin as a key ingredient. After switching to real foods, fresh fruit, nuts, eggs, and simple homemade smoothies, her energy returned, her mind felt clearer, and her numbers began to improve. Maltodextrin is hidden deep in ingredient lists. Sometimes it appears multiple times in one product. Manufacturers add it to enhance flavor, keep powders from clumping, or give sauces a thicker body. For seniors monitoring blood pressure or cholesterol, these hidden additives are far from harmless. Each serving fuels a cycle of rapid sugar spikes and insulin surges, the last thing aging arteries need. Maltodextrin is also used to mimic the creamy texture that fat normally provides. Many fat-free foods are actually high in maltodextrin. Maltodextrin is also used to mimic the creamy texture that fat normally provides. Many fat-free foods are actually high in maltodextrin. Seniors may assume fat-free means heart-healthy, but real fats, like those from olive oil or avocado, support brain health and satiety in ways maltodextrin cannot. For many older adults, cutting back on maltodextrin brings noticeable improvements. Within weeks they feel steadier after meals, experience fewer energy crashes, and regain better appetite control. Doctors often see improvements in blood pressure and cholesterol, as well. Replacing maltodextrin with whole foods gives your body the balanced energy it needs to function properly. Taking control of what goes into your body becomes even more important with age. Maltodextrin may be invisible. Remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about making the small, steady changes that add up over time. Every thoughtful decision, reading a label, choosing a whole food over a processed one, swapping out a powdery mix for something simple and real, brings you closer to a stronger heart, clearer mind, and longer, more joyful years. You deserve to feel proud of the choices you make for yourself, no matter your age. This isn't just about avoiding danger, it's about building confidence, finding new energy, and embracing the qualities that keep you vibrant and capable year after year. So, take a look at your pantry and refrigerator. Maybe pick one product you'll swap out this week. Even that one step is a victory. Your health is a journey, and every single positive change you make will ripple out into every part of your life. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next.